The Chaconne is definitely a journey, and you feel it from the outset. You know you're in for something very powerful and amazing. Bach manages to take you through the entire range of human emotion, through tragedy and discovery and longing and joy and spirituality, ecstasy, and then resignation and redemption, and finally a sort of triumph, you might say. Bach's Chaconne is Bach's personal story.
It's so easy to get overwhelmed by the music that people forget that behind it was an actual flesh and blood guy who had, I think like a lot of geniuses, Bach had a life that was full of tragedy and full of joy. He had an incredibly vigorous and challenging life. I mean, if you look at some of the little data points, when he was just a little kid, when he was 9 years old, his mom died. And when you're 9 years old, you're just about old enough to really know what that means. But when he was 10, his father died. And so suddenly Bach was an orphan, and he grew up in the care of his older brother without a mom or a dad. That was kind of the beginning of Bach, and if you follow the threads of his career, when he was 18 or 19, he was a star organist and starting to get moving as a musician, and around that time he got to know Maria Barbara, and the two of them fell in love, and they got married when they were 22, and started having babies right away. And baby needs shoes, and Bach needed a job, and so he got a great job at Arnstadt as an organist. When he and Maria were 28, they had twins in February, and those two kids died within about 3 weeks of each other. And yes, it was 300 years ago, and yes, infant mortality was more of a kind of prevalence then, but it doesn't matter who you are. If you're 28 and you and your wife have just had twins and they die, it kills you. And there must be connections between these sorts of events in Bach's life and the music that was coming out. If you fast forward ahead another 10 years, when Bach was 35, he had to go on a business trip to test out an organ, I think. And while he was gone, his beloved wife and mother of his 7 kids died. By the time he got home, she'd already been buried, and suddenly Bach was a widower with kids going down to about 2 years old, and no wife to look after them. The love of his life was gone. And he had to pick himself up, and still the music came gushing out. The careers changed again. He found a new woman eventually. But these were the kinds of big events that were going on in his life, and they're absolutely related to the music. I think when you listen to the music of Bach, you're overwhelmed by the emotional undercurrents that are packaged in this sort of Baroque formal structure. And those emotions come from places that are very real and very human. And it's a shame that we don't know more about what Bach's life was really like, but I'm certain that those great human moments were at the essence of the music that he wrote.
you.